Okay, boys and girls, here is a very quick and easy way to do rounding. So please first note that rounding can mean different things in terms of place value. In this case, we are rounding to the nearest 10. So this is really important. We have to pay attention to the digit or the place that we're rounding to. So again, in this case, we are rounding to the nearest 10. Step one, we look at our number. Our number is 41. We want to round that number to the nearest 10. So, as our directions say, we have to tell whether we are going to round up or round down. So step two to thinking about this is rounding up means that we're either going to be, in this case, at 40 or 50. Rounding up means that we are going to either go up to 50 or we're going to stay at 40. When we round up or down, it's helpful to first think, what are the two numbers that are possible? I think if we start with that step, we know that it has to be one of those two numbers. Are we rounding up to 50 or are we rounding down to 40? So again, step one is to recognize that it's to the nearest 10. There's our tens place. The 4 is in the tens place, so that means 40. Step two is asking yourself, if I round up, what would that number be? And we would round up to 50, or do we round down and that number that's in the tens place, in this case 4, stays the same, which would be 40. So our step one is paying attention to what we're rounding to. In this case, it's the nearest 10. Step two is to think about, what are my two possible answers? I think if we think about it in that way, you know it has to be one or the other. There's no in between. Now, step three is to get to the answer. And that's that easy trick that you've probably heard already. You just look to the neighbor to the right. So the neighbor to the right, in this case, is the 1. 1 is in the ones place. So when we look at our neighbor to the right, we say if that number is 4 or less, we round down. If that number is 5 or higher, we round up. So let's think about that. If that number is 4 or less, we would round down, in this case to 40. And if that number is 5 or more, we round up, in this case to 50. So our step three is looking at that neighbor to the right, which in this case is a 1. 1 is certainly less than 5, so we're rounding down. And we remember we can go right back to our step two, rounding down. In this case means 40. So rounding to the nearest 10 would give us 40. Here, it's helpful to make sure we're thinking this fully through, and it's helpful again to say it, think it, and write it. I'm rounding down. So this was a very detailed explanation, but if you think through each of these steps, you can't go wrong. You'll always get the right answer. So we're going to practice a bunch more and always recognize that it could get more complicated and that it will get more complicated. You may not round to the nearest 10. You may round to the nearest 100 or 1,000. But let's always remember to start at the very, very basics. If you master the basics and you truly understand all of these steps, what they mean, why we do them, how we do them, when you get to the more complex questions. They will be easy. So I hope this is helpful. You could replay it to keep practicing. I will come back to a separate video and we will practice more. That's great, boys and girls. I'm really proud of you. Give yourselves a pat on the back, and I will see you for the next video. Bye.